All right, guys, welcome back for another one. And this is another installment in the series of characters who did not deserve their fate. These are characters I've done, I think, 3 so far. This might be number 4. Or this may, yeah, I think this is number 4. But anyway, if it isn't, you know what I'm saying. This is an installment in a series that I've started called, you know, the characters did not deserve their fates. And this one comes from the world of Song of Ice and Fire. And the character we're talking about and we're going to be discussing today is none other than Shireen Baratheon, the daughter of the rightful king of Westeros, Stannis the Manus Baratheon. I know some of you would disagree with me on that, but it is what it is. It's how I feel about it. So what, you know. But anyway, we're here to talk about Shireen. And so, like I said, in this world of backstabbers and double crossers, you know, Shireen is one of the only few characters that are just good individuals. And just all in all, just an innocent person in all of this. And the fate that she gets, she does not deserve. And we'll talk a little bit about the character, and ultimately I'll discuss what happens to her at the end. But anyway, so we meet Shireen. I want to say it's season 3. Season 3, we meet Shireen. And by season 5, there's a scene in season 5 with Shireen and Stannis that really, once again in Game of Thrones, a lot of the times people harp on scenes like the Red Wedding and, just, people getting screwed over because that's what the show was kind of known for, And so with Shireen, this scene with her and Stannis, he tells us the story on how she got the grayscale because she suffers from a condition called grayscale. And basically, a Dornish merchant, came to Stannis trying to sell his wares, and most of them were trash, except this doll that was in their house colors. Stannis talks about how he remembers the smile Shireen had when he placed it in her cradle, and she put it up to her cheek, but it was too late. Once they figured out it was infected with grayscale, they tried to burn it, but it was too late, and Shireen was infected. Now, Stannis's advisors and people in the castle were advising him to, hey, you should send her to Old Valyria to live out her days with the Stonemen, because if it didn't kill her right away, it was going to be this slow process where the grayscale completely covers her body and she essentially goes insane. We saw some of the Stonemen when Tyrion and Sir Friendzone were going when they were back east or whatever, when Tyrion was going to meet Daenerys. We saw they were attacked by some of the Stonemen, and that's who infected Jorah or whatever, Sir Friendzone. But anyway, Stannis, being who he is, the man has the will. He would bend, he'll break before he bends. That's just how his will is. He's like, no. He called everybody possible, every healer, every apothecary. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but he called everybody that was possible, and they were able to cure her, because his whole thing was she did not deserve, because he told those guys, go to hell, and he made all those calls, and he told her, you are the princess Shireen Baratheon of the House Baratheon, and you don't deserve to be with the damn Stoneman. You deserve to be with me. And they had the music bellowing and everything, and she hugs him. A truly touching scene between father and daughter, because you could tell, a lot of people don't understand Stannis. I mean, really just like Davos, but Shireen, you could, at that young age, she understands who her father was and looks up to him and truly loves her father. And she just wanted that confirmation that her father, loved her. And he gave it to her when everybody else in the world was telling him she's not going to make it. You got to get rid of her. But Stannis, no, he's the Manus, man. He's like, hell no, that's my daughter, and so she gonna stay with me, and so kudos to them, but in that scene as well. Also, we get to meet her relationship. I mentioned Sir Davos Seaworth. She becomes a surrogate daughter to him, to the point where she teaches him how to read, and you just see their relationship blossom throughout the series. But the thing about it is that Stannis is at war, And the lady Melisandre, the red woman, tells him that, there has to be king's blood has to be sacrificed because winter's coming, and to help them be able to take Winterfell, to put Stannis on the throne. And Stannis is a man about duty. So the only person around that has the king's blood that they're aware of, Jon Snow has king's blood, but he's dead and they don't know. He just thinks he's a bastard. But anyways, Shireen is the one who has the king's blood. And so it is decided that Shireen will be sacrificed to the Lord of Light, which means she will be set ablaze. And this scene was really rough to get through. Salute to the actress who plays Shireen, because when they put her on the stake and she's screaming out, mother, father, like, and you see it pans around to the other men in the army, you see them, they're not liking this. They're not liking this not one bit. They're not liking this. And Selyse, her mother, who throughout the series has just, it seems like she just could care less about Shireen. Like, Shireen's just a burden to her. Like, she's more concerned about the fact that because her and Stannis couldn't produce any sons, she could care less about Shireen. But even she breaks in that scene. There's just something about being a mother. A mother has unconditional love. We didn't see the unconditional love, but we saw that mother, like being a mother, that instinct, that motherly instinct come out. And she's yelling at Stannis to stop this. And she was a staunch supporter of the Lord of Light. But, she's screaming and screaming. Stannis won't give the order. So she's eventually set ablaze and she dies. And, I talked about her relationship with Sir Davos. He finds out about it and he's just destroyed because, like I said, that was a surrogate daughter to him. She wasn't just his lord or his king's daughter. She was like a daughter to him. And so, of course, her sacrifice, and I'm not saying it's right, like the sacrifices, even if it worked, but unfortunately in the show, it did not work. It was for nothing. Stannis was ultimately defeated by the Boltons, which, ain't going to happen in the books. Matter of fact, I know people will say, well, George said this is what's going to happen. Yes, Shireen is going to be burned, but I don't think it will be Stannis who does it, because in the books, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but in the books, he tells Massey that if something happens to him, that he is to get his daughter on the throne. He's to get those cell swords and get his daughter on the throne, and so I think what's going to happen is, because in the books, Melisandre, Selyse, they're not with him. They're at Castle Black. So I think the order is going to be done by Selyse in the books, and Melisandre is going to burn her there at Castle Black. But I don't think it will not be Stannis who gives the order. And so, but yeah, she's no more, and she dies. And like I said, as that series and that world, there are very few just characters that are just nice and good-hearted and kind, innocent in that world. And for that to happen to her, just did not deserve it. And so she makes this list. So with that being said, my good people, like I always say, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already, could you do me a favor, hit that subscribe, smash the like, and get in the comments, who is a character in a film or TV show that you feel that did not deserve their fate? Get in the comments, let me know. And guys, I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.